Picture this. You're walking through the neon-lit streets of Pattaya, Thailand. It is 2026. The air is thick with humidity, and the bass from 100 different sound systems is practically vibrating in your chest.
It really is the undisputed nightlife capital of Asia.
Yeah, totally. And everywhere you look, I mean, it seems like an absolute gold mine, right? You've got cheap drinks flowing, endless streams of tourists from all over the globe.
Plus a party infrastructure that literally never sleeps.
Exactly. So it looks like the absolute easiest place on earth to open a bar and just watch the cash roll in. But as you walk past venue after venue, you start noticing something strange.
Right, the empty bars.
Yeah. Why do so many of these bars sitting right in the middle of a nightlife paradise look completely empty? And why are the owners, I mean, people who brought their entire life savings here constantly going broke?
Well, it's the ultimate mirage. The environment is designed to look entirely effortless to the consumer, which, tricks the aspiring business owner into thinking the operation itself is effortless.
Right. They see the party and think, oh, I can easily do that.
Exactly. But running a bar in Pattaya isn't just about pouring drinks and turning up the music. It's a highly competitive, ruthless survival system.
Wow.
Yeah, outsiders lose their shirts because they fundamentally misunderstand the underlying economics of what they're actually buying into.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we're going to strip away that whole easy money illusion today. In this deep dive, we're looking at the serious operator-level reality of Pattaya's bar business.
And it is a harsh reality.
It really is. We are getting into the true startup costs, the brutal real estate traps, and the execution blueprint that separates the, 10 to 20% of bars that actually make real money from the rest that just quietly disappear.
Which is why you really need to know what you're doing before you start signing checks.
Exactly. Navigating an environment this complex really requires local expertise before you sign anything. Speaking of which, this video is sponsored by Miya Solutions, a real estate investment and business consultancy based in Pattaya you can contact for free consultation. Contact details mentioned in description.
Having that on-the-ground reality check is just vital. Because to truly comprehend why so many operators fail here, we first have to understand the sheer scale of the battlefield.
Right, the saturation.
Yeah, the density of the market in Pattaya is staggering. I mean, conservative estimates usually put the number of bars at over 1,000. But reality on the ground.
It's way higher, right?
Oh, absolutely. The total number is likely closer to 3,000, maybe even 5,000 bars in this one city.
5,000 bars. I mean, just try to visualize that density for a second.
It's almost impossible to picture.
If you've got 5,000 venues all fighting for the exact same pool of tourists, you aren't just opening a business. You are entering a gladiatorial arena.
You really are. Take Walking Street alone. Just one street has about 200 venues.
200 on one street.
Yeah, and you've got a single zone with over 70 go-go bars packed shoulder to shoulder.
So, okay, if I'm a guy with a bit of savings who wants to enter this arena, what is the actual price of admission? Like, what am I buying into at the ground level?
Well, the entry-level operation, the absolute backbone of Pattaya nightlife, is the beer bar.
Okay, so just a standard open-air place.
Right. Typically open air, high volume, cheap drinks. The startup cost here is the lowest, generally ranging from 500,000 to 2 million Thai baht.
And what does that actually cover?
That covers basic renovations, licenses, initial stock, and crucially, your key money.
Wait, I hear that term key money thrown around constantly in Asian real estate. What exactly am I paying for there?
A lot of people ask that.
Is it like a security deposit?
No, it is not a deposit you get back.
Yep.
Key money is essentially a non-refundable takeover fee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, you are paying the current tenant, or sometimes the landlord, simply for the privilege of taking over the lease.
So it just buys you the right to pay rent.
Exactly. Now, while a beer bar is relatively cheap to start, the reality is that it's incredibly hard to stand out. If your venue is generic, the failure rate is astronomical.
Because you're competing with thousands of others just like it.
Right. And this specific tier is heavily dominated by Thai owners, for good reason. They understand the local ecosystem.
They know the ropes.
Yeah, they don't need expensive foreign management structures. They know how to navigate the informal overhead, and they have deep local networking to bring in staff.
So the barrier to entry is low, but the barrier to success is incredibly high.
Absolutely.
What if I want to bypass that and level up? Say I want to open a proper sports bar or a Western pub.
Well, that moves you into the mid-level risk profile. The required capital jumps significantly, usually to between 2 million and 8 million there.
That's quite a leap.
It is. Suddenly you're paying much higher key money. You need a full commercial kitchen, you need multiple large screen TVs and, expensive satellite subscriptions.
Then I imagine you need a hook, right?
Most importantly, you need a strong, defining concept. The operational data shows that at this level, you absolutely must have good food and a solid draw for repeat customers.
Who usually owns these types of places?
This tier tends to be dominated by foreign owners, basically expats catering to an expat crowd. It's more stable than a random beer bar, but the overhead is punishing.
Like, how punishing?
You are looking at operating costs running anywhere from 200,000 to 600,000 baht every single month.
Wow. And then there's the top of the food chain, right? The go-go bar.
Oh, the extreme risk category. We are talking about a startup cost ranging from 10 million to 50 million baht or more.
50 million baht? That is insane.
The key money alone for a prime spot can be 20 million baht, and rent can be up to 1 million baht a month.
So you're building out a massive operation.
Yeah, expensive lighting rigs, stages, and navigating really complex legal and licensing maneuvers. Yes, the revenue potential is massive, but the competition is cutthroat.
And I'm guessing you can't just stroll in and open one.
No, it requires deep industry connections that you cannot just buy your way into. Most outsiders who try to enter at this tier lose absolutely everything.
Looking at these numbers and looking at who typically comes in to start these bars, it feels less like buying a business and more like buying a boat.
A boat.
Yeah, it sounds like people aren't really buying a business. They are buying an expensive ticket to a lifestyle, basically a neon hole in the wall they pour money into.
What's fascinating here is the perfect way to look at it. Operator level data shows the single biggest mistake people make across all levels is having the wrong motivation.
Opening it for the perks, essentially.
Exactly. They open a bar for the lifestyle, they want to meet women, they want a place to hang out with their friends, or they fall for the illusion of easy money.
They treat it like a personal clubhouse.
Right, rather than a highly volatile, high-risk operational business. And when you enter with a lifestyle mindset, you make emotional decisions.
And emotional decisions cost money.
In a market, this saturated emotional decisions will bankrupt you.
Which brings us to the most critical, often emotional decision any of these buyers will make: where to actually put their bar.
Location is everything.
The numbers suggest that where you put your capital dictates 80% of your survival chances. 80%.
It really does.
So let's look at this real estate trap, because clearly the map of Pattaya is not created equal.
It isn't. You have to evaluate location based on a delicate balance of traffic, rent, and the specific environment.
Okay, where do we start?
Let's look at the highest traffic zones first. Places like Walking Street and Soi 6.
Real quick, for anyone unfamiliar with the layout, I hear soy used all the time. Soi 6, soy guao.
That just translates to a side street or an alley, right?
Correct. A soy is a side street branching off a main road. Now, Walking Street and Soi 6 have maximum foot traffic and aggressive day and night activity.
So it seems like the obvious choice to set up shop.
It does, but it is a total trap for beginners. The rent is astronomical, the environment is chaotic, and you are surrounded by massive, established concepts with deep pockets. So you're just a tiny fish in a very expensive pond.
Exactly. If you overpay for rent here, which almost all beginners do, it kills your profits instantly. You might have a packed bar and still be losing money because your overhead is bleeding you dry.
Wait, hold on. Let me push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Because if I am selling umbrellas in a rainstorm, I want to be standing right in the middle of the storm. Why wouldn't a beginner want the absolute maximum foot traffic of Walking Street?
I get that logic.
Right. If you have thousands of people walking past your door every night, surely that is better than being tucked away on some quiet side street where nobody can find you.
It is a logical assumption, but it completely ignores the mechanism of rent versus earning potential.
Okay, break that down.
In a highly saturated nightlife market, foot traffic does not automatically equal spending customers. Thousands of people might walk past your door on Walking Street, but they're walking past simply to get to the famous mega club 3 doors down.
Ah, so they aren't stopping.
Right. High traffic doesn't guarantee you income, but your landlord absolutely guarees your high rent.
That makes sense.
If that rent bleeds your capital dry before you've had the 6 to 12 months required to establish a loyal customer base, your business is finished.
So you're basically buying a very expensive front row seat to your own bankruptcy.
Precisely. That's why seasoned operators strongly advise against prime spots for beginners.
So how do you avoid that trap?
Well, one of the most crucial pieces of advice before negotiating key money anywhere is to physically sit outside a potential location for 2 to 3 nights.
Just to watch?
Yes. Watch the actual foot traffic. Are people stopping? Are they looking inside? Or are they just using the street as a hallway to get somewhere else?
That is incredibly practical advice.
And remember, that massive key money the previous owner is demanding, it is always negotiable, especially if their current business is failing.
So if walking street is a trap, where is the smart money going? If I'm an operator trying to be strategic, where on the map am I looking?
You look for the balance zones, areas like Soy Bucao and LK Metro.
What makes those areas better?
You still get a very strong mix of tourists and expats walking around, but the rent is significantly lower than walking street.
So the math actually works out.
Exactly. For a smart operator, especially someone opening a beer bar or a small sports bar, this is the absolute best starting point.
You have room to breathe.
You get a manageable cost structure while still capturing enough ambient traffic to keep the lights on while you build your reputation.
And what about the quieter areas, like way off the main streets?
Those are the low-cost, low-traffic zones, like Jomtien and Pretamak.
Who goes there?
These are premium residential areas, heavy with expats. You will not get wild tourist crowds.
So it's a completely different business model.
It is. But if you run a good, relaxed sports bar with great food, you can build a very loyal, long-term resident customer base.
And they come back every week.
Exactly. That provides steady, predictable income without the chaos of the main tourist strips.
Okay, so let's say you follow the playbook. You picked the perfect balanced location in Sogo Pacao.
Good choice.
You negotiated the key money down. Your rent is manageable. You open the doors. How do you actually get those tourists to spend their money?
That is the million-dollar question.
Because the rules of the game in 2026 are shifting dramatically. Pattaya does not have a demand problem, right? Millions of people still visit every year.
True.
It has a massive, crushing supply problem. 5,000 bars chasing the same wallets.
And those wallets are changing. There is a major shift happening in tourist behavior.
How so?
The data shows tourists are spending less per night, and their overall trips are shorter. The industry is also seeing decline in the traditional Western spenders who used to come and sit in these bars for weeks at a time.
But there's another shift too, right?
Yes, the most structural shift of the market isn't demographic, it's technological. Digital disruption has fundamentally altered the bar economy.
Wait, if millions of tourists are still coming, but the bars are empty, where are they?
They are on their phones. Historically, the bar was the exclusive entry point to meet people in Pattaya. If you wanted to socialize, you had to walk into a physical building, buy a drink, and sit there.
And now,
digital dating and social apps have completely bypassed the physical venue. Casual walk-ins are drastically down because people are arranging to meet online before they even leave their hotel room.
here's where it gets really interesting. I mean, it is exactly the same disruption we saw in traditional retail.
How do you mean?
The digital storefront, like the app, is making the physical storefront, the bar, completely obsolete for basic networking. You used to have to go to the mall to see what was for sale. Now you just scroll on your phone.
That is the exact mechanism at play. And it explains why the old business models are collapsing.
So how are bars reacting to this?
Badly. When traditional bars start seeing this massive drop in casual foot traffic, their instinct is usually to panic. They enter what operators call the death spiral.
The death spiral, that sounds ominous.
It is. To make rent, they increase their drink prices or they start sneaking in hidden costs on the bill.
Which just makes things worse.
Exactly. In a market with 3,000 competitors within walking distance, raising prices just drives the few customers you do have straight out the door.
Right, because the guy sitting on the stool can just walk 10 feet to the left and get a cheaper beer.
Precisely.
So if you can't hike prices and you can't rely on hundreds of casual walk-ins, what is the actual revenue engine of a successful bar? How are they surviving?
The metric that matters is time spent inside.
Not the number of people.
No. One customer who sits in your bar for 3 hours is vastly more profitable than 5 tourists who pop in for one quick drink and leave.
Why is that?
That 3-hour customer is generating continuous revenue. They're buying their own drinks, they might be buying lady drinks.
Lady drinks.
Heavily marked up beverages bought for the staff simply to keep them company at the table.
Ah, okay.
And they might generate bar funds.
Wait, what exactly is a bar fine? How does that work mechanically?
It is a fee paid directly to the bar by a customer.
For what?
Essentially, if a customer wants a specific staff member to leave their shift early to go out with them, whether to a restaurant, a club, or elsewhere, the customer pays the bar a fine.
Oh, so they are compensating the bar.
Right, to compensate the business for the loss of that worker's labor for the rest of the night. In this specific ecosystem, those fines are a major high-margin profit driver.
So the successful operator isn't just selling a beverage.
No, they are engineering an environment that traps time. The longer you sit, the more these secondary revenue streams trigger.
Which means the successful bars have to fundamentally pivot.
Exactly.
They can't just be transactional meeting places anymore because apps do that better and faster. They have to build a unique atmosphere.
They have to focus heavily on loyal, repeat customers who come for the vibe, the community, or the specific service. You have to give them a reason to be there that an app cannot replicate.
Given this massive saturation, the digital landscape, and the real estate traps, launching a bar requires a brutally honest blueprint.
It does. And the playbook starts with a very clear do not start if list.
Oh, let's go through this because it is a massive reality check. First, do not start if you have no nightlife experience.
Managing a bar is not the same as drinking in one.
So true. Second, do not start if you think it's easy money. And third,
do not start if you don't fully understand the confusing Thai legal and alcohol system.
because of the licenses.
The licensing complexity and enforcement inconsistency will chew you up if you don't know exactly what you are doing.
So if you somehow pass that test, what's the next step?
You enter what is known as the survival phase. This is where the true operators are separated from the lifestyle buyers.
This sounds intense.
If you open a bar, you must have the capital buffer to survive for 12 straight months with absolutely zero profit.
Zero profit for a year. What does that actually look like day to day?
It means bleeding cash.
Just constantly.
Yeah, it means paying rent, keeping the massive air conditioning units running, and paying a full staff of 10 to 15 people, even when the bar is completely empty.
Just to keep up appearances.
You are operating at a loss, simply to keep the lights on while you slowly build up your reputation and wait for repeat customers to discover you.
And while you're bleeding cash, you're fighting operational fires every single day.
Nonstop.
The data points out that staff turnover in Pattaya is notoriously high. You have to constantly train new staff on how to upsell,
And you have to meticulously control drink leakage.
which is a constant battle. And leakage doesn't mean literally spilling beer on the floor.
No, not at all.
We are talking about shrinkage, bartenders giving away free drinks to their friends, pouring heavy, or simply bypassing the point of sale system and pocketing the cash.
If you aren't watching your inventory like a hawk, your profit margin walks right out the front door.
And speaking of keeping costs tight, when you are building out the venue, you have to keep the design incredibly simple, right?
Return on investment matters so much more than expensive, flashy decorations.
Because you need that money for the buffer.
Exactly. Every baht you spend on a custom neon sign or imported leather booths is a baht you don't have for your 12-month survival buffer.
So, taking all of these mechanics into account, the rent traps, the digital shift, the operational bleed, what is the ultimate recommendation?
The ultimate recommendation from successful operators is clear. If you are going to do this, the smartest entry model is a small, niche beer bar in Soibokao.
Really? A small beer bar?
It hits all the right metrics. It offers manageable overhead, it has good ambient traffic, and it provides a relatively safe environment to learn the complex Pattaya system.
Without the catastrophic multi-million baht risk.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? We're looking at a market where you have to dodge a brutal real estate trap, outsmart the digital disruption of dating apps, manage constant staff turnover, and cheerfully burn cash for a year just to get noticed.
There's a lot to take on.
And the numbers clearly state that only 10 to 20% of bars make real money. If that's the reality, is this ultimately a fool's errand for anyone but a seasoned, hardened nightlife veteran?
It is a fool's errand if you treat it like a party. But if you treat it like a business, it is a game of attrition.
It's just outlasting the other guy.
Success in Pattaya isn't about throwing a massive, glamorous, grand opening party. It is about having the emotional detachment to never mix business with pleasure.
Staying disciplined.
It's about having that 12-month capital buffer locked away. It's about having such tight daily cost control over your inventory and overhead that you can simply survive long enough to become known.
The slow and steady approach.
The bars that succeed are rarely the flashiest. They are the ones that outlast the dreamers.
It is an incredible perspective shift. You look at those neon lights and it hides a ruthless, highly tuned economic machine.
An oversaturated, supply-side heavy market.
Right. Survival means you need a hyper-specific niche, a deep understanding of your true costs, and you have to treat every single customer's time as your most valuable asset.
It's not a personal playground. It is a high-risk operation.
This has been such a massive eye-opener.
It really changes how you see the city. This raises an important question, though, and it's something vital to consider as we look to the future of places like this.
What's that?
If digital apps continue to replace the fundamental networking and social functions that these thousands of physical venues were originally built for, how will the physical architecture of the nightlife capital of Asia have to evolve over the next decade to offer an experience an app simply cannot provide?
That is the million-baht question. Because the next time you picture walking down those humid, neon-lit streets of Pattaya, listening to the bass thump and seeing those empty bar stools, you won't just see a party. You'll see thousands of operators fighting a brutal, invisible war for survival right out in the open.